You are live.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
The flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any
Ernie,
other,
just do not forget to end it.
Thank you very much.
are there any board members
Have a
on?
good
Zoom?
night.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan. All right, since we don't have a quorum, we can go through the minutes, but we can't make any votes. We need
John.
5.
Joined the meeting.
There we
You got
go.
a quorum.
Now we got a quorum. Thanks, John. Public participation.
Hey guys, it's John Puskar.
Hey, John. Item number 3, approval of the meeting, of the regular meeting dated November 10th. All in favor? Anybody opposed? 4A, commissioner resignation. That's
Pagliaro, Joe
Joe
Pagliaro.
Paglio.
He written in a email that he's on another board and it's a conflict, so he had asked to resign from the Shelton Board of Pollution Control Authority.
4B, superintendent's report.
The November report for the treatment plant. Our average daily flow was 2.5 million gallons per day. Our peak flow was 3.4 million gallons per day. We were in compliance with all our permit limits. The effluent total nitrogen is 71 pounds per day. Trucked out 27.6 tons of sludge to Naugatuck. All 4 SBRs are online.
Hey, Ed, what do you typically truck out in a month? Out of curiosity, I mean, just,
Approximately.
yeah,
You do 6 truckloads a week.
6 a week.
19,500 gallons of sludge we truck out.
19,000.
500 gallons. No lost time due to accidents. We're at 35 accident-free months. Our safety training was plant safety and review of general plant procedures. Chemical consumables were as normal. We had no noise complaints. We now have 110 complaint-free months. No state issued odor complaints at the pump station or the treatment plant. We now have 3 months. Grease removal at the pump stations was upper Route 8, 120 pounds. Lower Route 8, 160 pounds. The River Road was 90 pounds. Lattice Place was 90. Meadowlark was 90. For a total of 550 pounds of grease removed from the stations. 90 pounds more than last year. Our preventive maintenance was our usual program. For corrective maintenance, we installed a legal contacts and various pump station. Disassembled fan screen number 1 at the plant to remove a hose wrapped around the shaft. All SBRs are currently online, and our future work would be to keep on top of all equipment with controls and daily checks and repairs as needed. Our overtime management was basically the same as normal. That was it. The treatment has been good. Water's been clean going on.
Quick question. Where'd the hose come from?
The hose was part of the
It's been sitting in their wet well
fan
forever.
screen operation.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it was off another piece of machinery.
It was off of that piece of
Oh,
machine.
okay,
There were several hoses on it.
Any questions for Ed or Garrett? move on. 4C, budget worksheet. So the printing and advertising is one of the bigger numbers that we haven't used any money for. We planning on doing any printing or advertising? I
Oh,
know,
I'm sorry.
I know, Pete, one year didn't we send out the grease can thing?
Yeah,
Grease,
can of grease,
can the grease?
yeah. We sent it out to all the residents.
Is
And I
there,
don't think we saw any change. That's the only downside. You know, it didn't really- maybe people did practice it. And it was very limited amount.
as I think we all know, it's most of the contributors are residential.
Residential.
Here we spend all these commercial people spend the money and I mean, I had to go back and look and see it. I started looking,
We have the flyer. We did it in like a third of a page horizontally. I mean, yeah, landscape. And we had cards that were stuffed into envelopes and we generated, we didn't generate, we paid a printer to generate mailing labels based on what we downloaded from the tax collectors files in those days. And sent one out to each household. Gosh, that goes back probably 8 years.
We're gonna redoing this regarding the wipes and so on. We need to put out
Yeah, it's gotta be like a combo.
a whole blanket. Social media and mailing, we need to do that.
that's obviously planned for this fiscal year then.
Yes,
When are you planning on doing it, do you know?
within the next month.
Okay. I didn't really have any other questions except for that one. When you guys go for physicals and inoculations,
We normally go to our
Griffin.
own physicians.
you haven't done anything on those yet, right? Those are still at 100% physicals and inoculations. And the sinking fund, we still got the 75. I never really understood the refund, the WPCA refund. We always carry money there for that too. So. Anything else in the budget, Ed? Bill, anything you want to talk about? Since you've been so kind enough to start taking over this to help us out.
The only thing is I plan on meeting with Lori Vano from the WPCA office, and then also eventually with Lynn Piscatelli from the controller's office, just to get a better insight of how these reports are generated. This report and the year-end reports and so forth, and the financials that are done every month. Until I meet with them and have a better understanding.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to even, begin looking at this and figuring out, because I know we're typically a couple of months behind. But I think every year, you get to the end of the year, and obviously everything gets input. And then Lori's been getting us the breakdowns on each one of these account numbers, which was helpful the last couple of years. Especially helpful when we did it, for the last couple of years, and last year it was helpful. So if we can keep on getting those breakdowns for each one of these account numbers. But we've never exceeded our budget. I don't think we ever have.
No,
I don't
No,
think
I
we
mean,
ever.
it's a good thing that the money's in there, regardless if it's 100%
Yeah.
or not, because you could use it in a blink of an eye
Yep.
in the 24th hour.
Any questions on the budget? Hearing none, move on. 5A Mohawk Drive application. Manny? Are you- are you doing-
Matt should really speak, right?
Oh, Matt.
Manny's already done his thing.
Matt, you on?
Yeah, I'm here. Does, has everybody had a chance to look at the sewer connection application in front of them, the review?
Yep.
All right, so basically, we looked it over. The best bet, I think, to move forward, is for recommendations for gravity sewer piping. Locate the existing service connection to the property, which has been charged a sewer use fee over the past several years, and reuse it for the new building. Later on, the site plan is going to need to be submitted with the sewer connection and the layout that they have for the piping from the building out to the street using that new using the existing sewer connection. And then just make sure the gravity sewer pipe is 6-inch SDR 35. I don't anticipate that they're going to have sewer crossings with other utilities, but we had some language in there about that. And then make sure there's a sewer clean out extended to grade near the building. So that way, if there's ever any kind of issue, it's easy for the property owner to clean it out. The bigger issues, so this is in the Pine Rock sewer shed, which goes down to the town of Stratford. And the question kind of becomes a little bit that it's more of an action by the WPCA to determine if additional approval is really needed from the town of Stratford, because the applicant is proposing to reuse the existing sewer connection, and they are going to have residential flow less than 150 gallons per day per person. The existing property is also residential with flow less than 150 gallons per day per person. So looking at the intermunicipal agreement, the question is would they fall under the category that they need a Stratford approval for a sewer connection if it's already, the property's already connected? Because the reason why is for new connections to Stratford, that is a zone change. Stratford has to review it. So it's a little bit, seems to be a little bit of a gray area. I'm not sure what the commission would like to do about that. But
Well,
that-
what's the initial flow through that line? I mean, are we increasing the flow to the line?
30 gallons per minute.
Well, you got 150 now, right?
Well, they are going to increase the number of people in who live on the property. Yes, but the way the intermunicipal agreement's set up, it's gallons per day per person, and that flow rate per person, if anything, would be the same or decrease because they're going to have some modern plumbing fixtures. So there'll be low flush toilets and energy efficient, water efficient washers and dishwashers and things like that.
What is it now? 210 gallons a day?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
That's 210 gallons per day per dwelling unit. And more modern, households are a lot less than that. So the question, kind of becomes if they're
here?
And then when you have a higher density like that, typically the.
Hey, Manny, can you go up and introduce yourself and get it on record, please? Thank you.
Manny Silva from Rostizo Company representing the applicant. So when you have the typical is, 150 all the way down to maybe 110 per bedroom or per person. And when you have a higher density development like this one, it kind of in general drops down to around 80 gallons, 90 gallons per bedroom or per person. So when you have, like the expert there's mentioned, if anything, our per person generation is going to be decreased by the development. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it is.
What's that, Matt?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, you're looking at from a single family home that's currently connected to this new building with several residences in it, but it's still residential use. And, I think the water usage is going to be less because it's new construction from something that's been there for a long time. But the question kind of becomes is it an existing connection, or are they proposing like a new connection? Because it looks like new connections to Stratford require them to review it if it's a zoning change, which I don't know if it seems like they're going to go to a PDD.
You're connecting that to the same thing.
Yeah, and you're requiring us to connect to the same lateral, so we're not gonna put a new lateral that's required to use the same one.
Yeah, my simple answer is, the simple answer, as long as you're connected, that property's connected.
Correct.
You're not exceeding the gallons per day that
First.
that they're doing now. So my simple answer is, I don't think we need, I don't think you need to go to Stratford, but with the understanding that it's easy for us to say yes. And then if Stratford gets wind of it and they say, well, why didn't you send them over to us? We need to make sure we have the backup why we didn't go to them.
Right, and I think the argument where you guys approve it based on the language in the agreement.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think you cover yourselves there.
Yeah, I agree. But
So
They
it
could-
just has to be an approval, or in this case, an approval tailored in that fashion that shows the findings and what the reasoning was for the approval.
right,
What the agreement says.
right.
So what will happen though is next year, every year, Stratford asks for if there are any changes in connections to the sewer shed, because they charge you based on EDUs. So you're gonna say, well, there's more dwelling units on this property, but it's still residential flow, and the flow is still less than 150 gallons per day per person, and it's using an existing connection
That they were allowing.
that they've already allowed, right?
That's how it's pretty much got to happen. It should be worded that they've allowed this amount.
And it's strange that they allow it based on gallons per day per person instead of gallons per day per connection.
Right.
Exactly.
But that's what you guys agreed to.
And quite frankly, it makes a little bit more sense because it gives you guys more latitude of what you're approving tonight versus, you have an agreement to have flow go to Stratford, and they shouldn't have control over individual projects per se.
No,
Yeah.
no. Our agreement is gallons per day is flow.
Hold on.
Well, yeah, hold on a second. Anybody else have any Manny, anything else?
No, I just was waiting for the comments, and I agree with the comments, and we'll comply.
Matt, are you all set?
Yes, I'm all set.
Don?
Yes.
Yeah, almost.
Bill?
I'm fine.
John Pushkar?
Nothing further from me.
All right, so let's put together Matt, let's put together a motion that reads something like, this project is not exceeding what has been allowed in the past to Stratford. So help me put together a motion here.
Sure.
Simple motion. It doesn't have to be too complicated, but enough that we get the verbiage across.
Yes, I would say the application is approved for an existing service connection with a residential flow rate of less than 150 gallons per day per person
There you go. Yep. Okay.
for 2 Mohawk Drive.
Now, would you be so kind of email that to the office?
Yeah.
That language.
And then say following the recommendations of Weston and Sampson's memo.
Right, so the first part of the motion will be to approve Mohawk Drive based on residential flow less than 150 gallons per day per person, number one, and it would also, the second part of the motion would be to accept Weston Sampson's application review 21-104 dated November 4th. So somebody want to make a motion to that effect? First part and second part?
I'll make a motion that we accept the two-part review
Okay, you have to
for
spell it.
21-104 connection on Mohawk.
For
For application 21-104.
150 gallons per day per
Day.
person. Spell it out.
150 gallons per day per person.
That's part one, part two. Let's make sure we spell it out.
How is it worded again?
Part two is going to be the sewer connect, we're approving Weston and Sampson's application review. So we'll make it two parts. We're accepting that it's 150 gallons per day per person. And it's in line with what the flow that we've sent to Stratford in the past. It has nothing to do with the size of the project. It has to do with the flow of the project. I mean, let's say it like that.
Second part of the application is that we approve the recommendation from Weston Sampson concerning the flow of 150 gallons per person per day, which is in line with the agreement with the town of Stratford.
That's kind of the first part too. That's okay. That's all right.
No.
Somebody want to second the motion?
I'll second it, but I can't repeat it.
Is everybody okay with how the motion was kind of read out? I think Don's right. It's hard to repeat, but we all understand what the motion is. Go ahead.
What if it exceeded the 150 gallons per person per day?
Then you have a problem. Yeah, then you would have a problem. That's actually really high flow, usually around 75 or less per person.
I mean, we have the same problem in every single project that we approve. How do we know that somebody's not going to come in there and run the shower all day long? We can't control that.
Right.
And it's the same thing here. So, to exceed it is going to be kind of difficult to exceed it. If all of a sudden everybody's family moved into one house and instead of having 3 people, you have 13 people there, then you got to, we can't control that.
Right, but once the approval is there, that's it.
Yeah, that's the same for any project that we approve.
Right.
So I should motion by Bill, second by Don. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Voting so ordered. Thank
very
you.
much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Manny. Matt, are you all set with Manny as far as fees and everything?
I'm basically, I sent it over to Ernie at the beginning of last month, and then we'll invoice it at next month's invoice.
Okay.
It gets go ahead, Ernie.
We'll talk tomorrow. Just gotta clarify the thing so we can build a plan.
Okay, yeah, it gets, we invoice it to the WPCA as a separate task to keep the hours separate, and then the
Okay.
applicant
Yep.
reimburses. Yeah.
Next item, bills rendered. 6A1 Weston Sampson, $4,652. For invoice 122-11236.
I move that we pay Weston Sampson for the invoice for 122-11236 for the amount of $4,652.
Motion by Don,
Second.
second by Mr. Chukta. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? This will be a record one. Matt, the Rangers are on tonight, Matt.
Who first and who second?
Hey, I can watch them on the TV behind my screen here.
Who second? I don't remember.
Don second.
Steve-
Don and
Steve Chukta.
That's for Weston Sampson's bill?
Yeah.
4,652.
Sewer administrators report.
Second was Steve.
What's that?
Good evening. The process for the cured in place pipeliner, we're going pretty well. We should be wrapped up as far as the actual lining. There's still laterals to go, the inserts need to go. So if all goes well, we should be done tomorrow night with the actual lining process. And like I said, we still have this sealing of the laterals. Our televising contractor has started jetting and televising, our sanitary sewer mains last week, and we'll be doing it for a couple more weeks. We want to bring in, we want to have Route 110 done, because that's where a lot of the the pump stations and the force mains get sent into that line. And if I could tell you how horrific the films were of the pipe on Bridgeport Avenue, I mean, it was just deplorable. How much of the pipe was missing from acidic gases. It was frightful. So we want to get 110 done as far as video and jetted. Next, there's some other, we got some I&I going on in the forest, in some of the easements. So we're making some efforts to clear some of the easements to get to these manholes. One of the manholes actually so bad from breakdown that it lost bricks inside the line. That was our backups last week. So we're able to get the actual bricks jetted out to a manhole to be able to remove them. On that note, we want to raise some of the manholes that are too low in the forest. They're actually buried underneath the earth, letting water in. So we're going to be working on that, clearing the easement starting the Friday, and then having a contractor raise the ones that are below grade and replace the missing bricks that are letting the water in. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to get on the downstream from where the pump stations pump out. This is where we're seeing the most corrosion in the manholes from the acidic gases. So we're going to inspect the 5 manholes downstream from where the pump stations pump out, or the force mains pump out. And then we're going to seal those manholes to help prevent the acid from getting to the masonry. That's any questions or anything on what's going on or what we're doing?
Are you and Peter in the television production?
We used to be ABC, but we got plagiarism and all kinds of things.
There's no contractual
Yeah.
obligation on our part.
Yeah. So, I wanted to say, which I neglected to say, that Pete has been exemplary at producing the maps. Like today, we just asked for one, I asked him for Route 110, and very diligently produced these things in fine style and got them to our sub so that they could start working on that Friday. So it's been a pleasure working with him in the studio productions.
Writing the script.
You get a pat in the back, huh, Pete?
Yeah.
The one thing I did want to say, which I'm a little bit perturbed about, is the contractor. I mean, the contractor's been super as far as putting the pipelining in. The only thing I'm a little bit dismayed about, and I'm sure the chairman and Bill, who are in these fields, would feel the same. So I asked the question, one of these, in slang terminology, called a top hat. It's a real fine sealing from the lining into the lateral. And it was supposed to work like clockwork in my mind when we signed these contracts, that the minute that they finished the pipeliner, there were going to be someone following right in after them and then do the inserts. And so I asked the engineer there, I go, when are you coming to town to finish up these inserts? And he goes, I don't know. I'm at the same contract for this several months ago for this pipeline. And I says, you can't see, and then you give us a date where you're gonna be in town, and you don't have the contractor schedule for the inserts. So I've been a little bit, up in arms about that, trying to get them. So at this time, I can't tell you when they're coming to town to finish up this, these inserts.
Approximately how many laterals?
Oof. I don't have the spreadsheet in money. I could email that to you tomorrow. I could email you the whole
Yeah.
shebang, and it'll show you right on how many, yeah, I'll do that. I'll send it up to the whole board.
I think it's, what is it, maybe like 20 to 30? It's
Yeah.
a lot, yeah.
Gonna say 25, Matt. Yeah, about 25. The biggest concentration of laterals coming in is from where Constitution Boulevard hits Bridgeport Avenue, at the top of the hill there where the rocks are, and going down to John Street. That's where the biggest number of laterals. But it would have been easier, like Ernie said, to do it at this time, because then the cleaning process to attach the top hat is a lot simpler, a lot easier. And,
You got a clean product, brand new
Yeah.
product. Matt, if you could throw any weight on that, and I'm not, saying that you're heavy or anything, I'm saying you lightweight. If you can nudge in situ form there, we'd be grateful.
Sure, my guy Ben, he called him a couple times and emailed them asking, and they've been giving him this kind of the same answer. And we're kind of surprised with that response that they gave you, frankly.
Yeah, well, I wrote to their head engineer today stating that it's unacceptable that their subordinate engineer doesn't know when the subcontractor's coming down. I think it's just deplorable. But I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else?
Floor.
It's okay. No, given the state of the labor market today and the material delivery market today, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised, but it's like I've had contracts for 4 months and I still can't get labor.
Wow,
I mean, you go to the union hall, you can't find anybody.
really?
Yeah. So I'm not surprised, but I guess you want me to send a letter to him also? Call him or have Matt give it a shot?
Yeah, Michael, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Sure. Because I think it's just,
Hey, Matt, you want to send me his contact information?
I'll send it.
All
I got it
right.
here. I'll send you over.
Anything else? Ernie?
No, sir. Thank you for asking.
Pete, thanks for the exemplary. Last one was the financial statement. Did Ashley finish that spreadsheet?
No, she was supposed to have everything that you and Bill were just talking about as far as, the budget items. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of data input to get up to speed, So and I've been crushing the kid with,
Has she been helping at night?
No, we can't ask too much of her,
Or during
She's
the-
in college and
Oh, that's right.
finals
Yeah,
are
yep.
next week, so we're trying to back off a little bit.
Yep.
But,
Because that spreadsheet I had asked her to do was the making sure we're collecting all the fees. Remember that one I've been asking for quite.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm
He's not
talking
about the detail of the
I'm
budget.
sorry, I misconstrued. I thought you were talking about the detail. of the
No.
budget.
She had showed me a couple times, and look, I agree, she's part-time, she's in college.
Yeah.
You can't push her too much.
I got, believe it or not, I got to doing a lot of stuff, last week, we were traipsing through, Pine Rock, the easement, there was a backup. And I had her find all the manholes that were in the forest, buried or not. So you gotta locate them, put a stake in, and there's brambles galore. So it was an arduous job. And then ask her, so we're asking her to wear a lot of hats.
So when is a good time to actually ask her to finish it?
Tomorrow morning,
All right.
that's what I'm gonna do.
I mean, as long as
Unless
she,
you wanna call her.
no, I don't want to bother around this time. Just ask her if she can have it before next meeting.
If you said she has finance coming up.
Yeah, next week. And then
You
she's,
can't bother.
Yeah, Mike's right. See if she can have it for next week
you got
in
it.
January.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Which is the 12th of-
Yeah, January 12th, I believe. Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. Thank you.
Steve.
Quiet today, Steve. That's right. Speak up, Steve.
Have a nice holiday.
Thank you.
Are they gonna have what?
Christmas party for city employees.
I haven't heard it. There was something about a tree. Yes, yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that first part. No, I just had that on my mind. I'm gonna do it right now. I really forget.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the problem. For the longest time, we don't have a schedule that tells us all the fees. And you always have to trust Tom.
Yeah, but I
Kind of found out over the years. This one's
quality of
missing.
life.
Somebody, I found out by accident. that there was one of these
My mother, a year and a half,
It's like,
she was
okay,
fine. The
we
last 2
going,
months,
we going after these guys?
not too bad. The last
You know, so
few-
that's what the spreadsheet's supposed to help do.
Stop giving
The
her
problem is, I don't have a problem that she's part-time. The problem is that if she's the only one
cancer, any
taking.
medication,